Good afternoon, traders. We'll do a little post-market debrief recap on the day and what happened and what may happen. So on ES, we had a very tight, low volume, 100K traded, and the overnight session. We opened up right in the middle of that, right at our point of control, and we failed. This is the TPO right here on the right, broken out. I'll be on the left-hand chart, but this right profile is this one broken out. So we opened up right in the middle of that range, and we couldn't get the overnight high. We had shorts start coming in, and they were piling in. There was some good negative delta here, but they couldn't get the overnight low here either. So at that point, we moved higher. We had set the IB, I think it was 4 point range. But then we broke that IB. We quickly took the overnight high, and we took the previous day's high, which is currently all-time highs, right? And we left a set of singles in there. From this point on, it was trend day for a while. So after we put in the C period bar, we couldn't even pull back to the halfback on C period before we found buyers. Moved up again, put in another set of singles, and then we slowly started filling these singles after we hit this 5067 level, which was a level that we were keeping an eye on. So 5067 was the highest level that I had for today. It's a HDF call wall, XPX 5050, and then the 1 sigma up, which we'll look on the other chart and show that. But then after we made the high here, rejected that 5067 level, we put in a couple lower highs, and then we started to see some liquidation. And I was in some meetings on some calls with traders and stuff when all of this was going down. I came back in here at some point and saw this trade up against VWAP and the mid of this bar. I was fortunate enough to catch that where it just drained, took it off before low day for the IB low, and it actually just punched through and drained. And moved right down to 5034, which was our singles from the previous day. So that was one of the levels we were looking at, bottom of the singles from Friday and marking the low of the double distribution. So we found a low there, moved back up and just kind of balanced out the rest of the day below the open, but in the upper distribution of Friday's profile. So what we did, we took the overnight high, we took the previous high day, the all-time highs, so we set new all-time highs. We put in singles, but we ended up retracing those, hit the call wall. Then we had some inventory correction where we took the IB low, the overnight low, and we filled the singles from Friday. So a little bit of repair from some of that weak price action that we left. So even though we did all that, we still couldn't trade down into this lower distribution from Friday, test this point of control. Still have a buy tail here. We still have singles below us. So a bearish finish to a bullish day, I'll put it that way. So how good of a job did we do? We have to keep in mind this selling was old business, right? This wasn't new business selling. This was liquidation, in my opinion. This was liquidation of a lot of retail longs. We've had a lot of retail getting long this market. And see, we can take a look at our delta. I don't want to make this video too long, but I do want to show this. We'll pop back to this one while this is loading. I will try to. So we can see we had, this was, the candles are, it's basically all delta. And we can see the red is the all delta over 100 lots, and the orange is 20 to 100 lots. So these are the large players. And they were flat this whole session up until, the last part of the day, which doesn't really factor much into my thinking going in tomorrow. But we can see it's a liquidation of everybody that got long today, plus some of these other retail lots that have been getting long in this market. So I consider this old business. I don't really consider it as something that we can expect continued selling on. We have CPI in the morning at 7:30 Central, so I think the market has been just kind of hanging on each piece of inflation news that we get. And there hasn't really been a whole lot of good news lately, with deciding they weren't going to do as many rate cuts and all that kind of good stuff. So there weren't really large lots involved. This was a retail move, but we still had a bullish day. And this can't happen anyway without there either being good large lots in the market or passive buyers holding the market up, which we saw in the beginning of the day in A and B session, A and B period. So we had less than 1 million contracts traded again. So still low range of what we can see in the ES when the market's really moving. Only 34 points of range, so a small day. And with that, we had negative 18,000 delta. So with that large amount of negative delta, we still really, couldn't even trade in this second distribution from Friday. So one of the other things I wanted to highlight too. So this is the cumulative delta on the ES, but I wanted to look at RTY. So that was one of the ones I called out this morning that was looking good. We're basically working our way on breaking out of this balance. So we see a huge amount of delta come into the market. Not only do we break out, put in a P-shaped profile, as you can see here, but we also have some singles, and we closed up here really strong. So we're above yearly VWAP, monthly VWAP. We're above this giant balance area, which we can see a little better on this chart. Really strong close. The Russell looks good for a run up to potentially all-time highs. And then the other market that I was keeping an eye on today, looking at it crude a little bit, but it didn't do a whole lot. But also gold. I think gold is interesting here. So we made a move down to the bottom of balance today, and we just kind of ran out of momentum. Wasn't really watching order flow or anything, but we made a move below the previous low day, and just really kind of ran out of momentum. Couldn't really make any lower lows, and then we moved up, took the IB high, and put in a distribution up here above the open. So that's a bullish move for gold. And being at the bottom of balance, this would have been a great entry below the previous low a day, but I wasn't really watching it that close. But we do have CPI tomorrow. So if we could get another move like that and get below this whole balance area, that would be a place that would look great for a look below and fail, or a failed news event, as Jason Shapiro would say. If we get below this level and close, then I think we have a leg down. So let's look at our high time frame levels here. So we have SPY on the left. We have the Qs on the right. These are the ones I pay attention to more for support and resistance as far as these levels go. And the both the 1 sigma levels came into play. We stayed within 1 sigma today, which is what we would expect most of the time. And looks like ES has kind of gotten pinned to this call wall. But that's the main thing I wanted to point out there, because we do have, I hadn't looked at the Russell. We do have some 2 sigma moves on the Mag 7 stocks, which is interesting since those tend to lead sometimes. So the Russell well above its call wall, made a 2 sigma move up. So the only index that actually made a 2 sigma move. So let's see, on these levels, they don't always come into play. So I'm just going to look at the ones that did come into play today to keep this video shorter. But Meta had a nice rejection on its call wall, ended up closing within 1 sigma. We also have Tesla. Tesla made a 2 sigma move down and closed at its 2 sigma level. It's below the 0 gamma level. We'll look at NVIDIA, and we'll look at one more. NVIDIA got pretty close to its second call wall. Be interested to see if this moves up, if we have stronger gamma move up tomorrow, close within its 1 sigma. We'll take a look at Amazon. Amazon also rejected the call wall here, had to move up quickly at the open, rejected it, closed below its 1 sigma. level there. One thing, we'll go ahead and take a look at the 0D2E, just to see. So we came in, we had the call walls were pretty spotty, but we did kind of get some indications of where they may settle. It came in pretty low, but one of the first things we saw the put wall was pretty solid at the open, but it moved higher. So whenever we see them come in that solid and they move up, that's an indication that we probably have some upside coming. And we see the call wall where it finally kind of settled in, it moved up as well. So should be looking to the long side from there. And that's shortly before this move actually started. There were still people piling in short at this point. I know because I was one of them. And then we moved in, we put in singles, we moved right up to the call wall and didn't even miss a beat. Blew right through it. And we had the put wall move up again. And so we moved up, just kind of ran through all this gamma up to where this wall moved, which is our other level that we had from before the bell. This is where it rejected. It got pinned there for a while. That's where we saw the lower highs. It came back up and tested this level again. And whenever we couldn't make a new high at this point, that's when we started to see that liquidation. It really annoys me having that ledge in there. But we'll see this yellow line here. This or orange yellow line is the GWAP, the zero gamma. We got below that straight to the put wall. If you can see that, straight to the put wall. Came up, found that balance point and rejected from there. Went right back to the put wall, cut through it. Put wall had kind of moved down at that point, cut through it, moved back down to the next put wall. And that wall couldn't roll anymore at that point. So we got back above it, retested it, and then reverted back. Close the day. We saw the gamma. There was a lot of put gamma on both of these strikes, where it was just kind of bouncing around there towards the end of the day. So zero gamma did its job. I haven't looked at any of these other levels today. SPY, very similar look, bounced off the put wall, pinned a little bit and then cut through to our next level. And it stayed shy of its other level of the strike where we had all that gamma on ES. You know, of course, they're same instrument pretty much. So good looks on the X-ray and the HTF levels and our levels that we posted in the room today as well. So everything worked out really good. Anyway, that's it. Be back on in the morning about 15 minutes before the open for a little pre-market prep. We'll go over the references that we're going to be looking at tomorrow and how we're going to trade them. CPI will be in at that point, so it'll be interesting to see how overnight inventory is, and if we have an opening range break set up for that tomorrow too as well. So see you all in the morning.